Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Kelly. I run Edit With Me, a show where we take a photo from raw to ready, and we chat about business and shooting and inspiration and all of that stuff. So I'd invite you to grab a cup of coffee, relax, hit that subscribe button, and settle in. Welcome back, everybody. All right, let's get started on this beautiful image. I just love this image. This is one of my good friends, and she is happily pregnant with her rainbow baby. I had the amazing blessing of being able to photograph their birth with their son about 1.5 years ago. Unfortunately, baby Christian passed away after about an hour of being on this earth, and it was my ultimate pleasure and honor to tell his story. But I am so thrilled that my friends are having a new baby girl to come into this world. So let's get started. Today, I'm going to be changing things, making an overall adjustment to this light here, making a couple little body tweaks and positioning to my friend Lauren, removing things that are distracting to me, all of those things. I'm going to be adjusting this to very natural. And it kind of reminded me of like a Botticelli model, you know, those voluptuous, languid women. We're going to be taking it from that to this. So I'm going to be going at this raw, no presets today. Definitely like completely from scratch. And the reason being is I want you to get comfortable not using presets. I want you to get comfortable with your tools, knowing what you're doing without needing to rely on someone else or having, people make money off of you by buying millions and millions and millions of presets. Okay. So we're going to make some changes here today. And I want to be discussing the topic also of faithfulness this time. So we're going to make some overall changes here. I think I'm also going to put up the exposure around my friend, and we are just going to play around and see what we can get here. Okay, I am also going to take away the smart shower box here. I am going to clean up the lighting here, kind of mess with this, the distractions in the curtain, as well as lighten up my friend. We're also going to be making some overall changes. So if you are editing along with me, I want to remind you that if you've ever edited with me, I always start at the bottom of my panel and I do what I call mass adjustments. I do the changes that nobody's even going to notice in the photo, but I definitely will, such as noise reduction and sharpening and removing chromatic aberration. I am also going to add a bit of texture in here, and I'm going to decrease my clarity just a bit. I also like to add a tiny bit of grain, usually between 3 and 10, depending on the image. So once you make those adjustments, then we'll come up here and we'll start playing with our color and with our light and shadows and contrast. So while I'm doing that, friends, I want to start our topic of faithfulness. And I believe that it was Mother Teresa who had the quote, "Be faithful in the small things, for in those you find your strength." And that really resonated with me because we live our lives so often looking for big things, right? The next big excitement, the next baby, the next house, the next milestone, the next client. And I want to challenge you today in this discussion to keep an open mind. We're going to be talking about faithfulness, about not necessarily faithfulness with your spouse or relationship or anything like that, but I'm talking about those things where you know you should do it, you need to be doing it, you need to do it with faithfulness, such as working out, eating well, responding to your clients in a timely manner, keeping your brand faithfulness. That's a tricky one because we're creatives, right? And we want to move where the weather and wind takes us. But by keeping brand faithfulness, it starts to show our clients that they can depend on us to deliver a certain quality of image, right? Imagine if sometimes you shot super colorful cotton candy sunsets, and then another time you shot super bright and contrasty rollerblade images, okay? When people come to look at you and at your things, they're not going to necessarily know what they're going to get from you if they hire you. I'm not trying to shoehorn anybody into a specific thing. I shoot lots of stuff, but I am trying to help you realize that faithfulness in your business and in your life is a really, really important characteristic. By being faithful to your brand, to yourself, to your clients, people start to depend on you. They start to rely on you. They start to understand. And I find out that actually helps set expectations of me much more than me doing a bunch of lip service explaining things to every single person. Does that make sense? So what are some things that you struggle with being faithful in? Is it your daily workout? Is it your quiet time? Is it cooking a healthy breakfast and lunch for your family? What are the things? I'd love to know below. What is something you struggle staying faithful in? For me, it's my daily workouts. I eat well, but with how busy I am, I just find that is something that slides all the way to the bottom. Does it need to? No, but I'm not faithful in my workouts, and I really, really should be. So I'll make you a promise here. If you work on something that you need to gain your faithfulness in, I'll start working more on my workouts. How about that? But faithfulness is very difficult in this day and age to learn from people. We are given a way out with our wonderful cell phones, right? Think about what people used to do when they wanted to bail on plans on their friends the days before cell phones. Oh, hold on. I'm going to stop right here. I am getting frustrated because I'm trying to use my spot healing on Lightroom, and I'm not a fan of their brush. It's sampling from the window, and I don't even want that there. So we're just going to have to take care of that in Photoshop. Sorry, I didn't want you guys being confused. So we'll mess with that in Photoshop later. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, back to my chat. So they had to show up for plans, right? They had no way of telling their friends who might have already been to the movies that they weren't going to be late. For us, it's as simple as, I don't feel like it. I'm just going to text them and they have to understand, right? That kind of a life and that kind of a perspective is rubbish, y'all. It's rubbish. And I don't know why our generation, and I'm talking to the 24 to 40-year-olds, I don't know why our generation thinks that is a wonderful thing. We need to be faithful. If we say we're going to do something, we do it. If we're going to do something a certain way, we do it. As business owners, that is incredibly important. All right, we're going to open this in Photoshop to do the rest of our tweaks here. So I'm wondering, inside of your mind today, what is something that you struggle with your faithfulness? I'm just so curious. As we are going to work on this photo in Photoshop, I am not going to do a whole bunch of massive changes to it. I am just going to do that spot removal that I talked about. And goodness, this is taking a long time today. Oh, that wheel of death. Don't you hate that thing? I do too. Okay. Any luck? Awesome. All right, so I'm going to start with taking out the things that really distract my eye, okay? I'm going to use 3 different tools while we're editing today, I hope. We'll see. I like to use my lasso tool for something that is bigger than like a dime. Sometimes spot healing brushes work like on fabric or walls, but oftentimes it won't if you have patterns and things like that. I find that spot healing doesn't really do a great job there. So I'm going to try to take out this shower box right up here, and I'm going to take that plant out. Also, I'm going to take that little tiny, can you guys see those leaves? It doesn't make sense to be in the image because there's no plant that those leaves are coming out of. So I'm going to take those out as well. And I'm going to hopefully use 3 different tools so you can see how they work. Okay. I am going to, let's see, you know what? I'm going to wait for universal prep to the end. Let's do our adjustments first. Okay. So I am going to come up here. I'm going to grab my lasso, draw a lasso around the object you'd like to remove. Super simple. Make sure that you get a little tiny bit around outside so that Photoshop has something to sample from. You're going to right click and you're going to say fill. Make sure that that content aware is selected and that your opacity is at 100% because you're replacing something, not doing a screen or something like that. Okay, well, that worked perfectly. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to come over here and we are going to work. Oh, sorry. I was showing you guys just there that it was working so well because it was flat on the wall. Now we're going to come over here and work on this plant. So I think I'm going to clone this instead of lasso because there's a lot of things that my lasso could try to choose on its own. And just from experience, I know that's not going to go well. So I'm going to use my bracket key. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to alt click and then paint my cloning back on. There we go. You can't even tell there was a plant there now. Just looks like the edge of the window. All right, I'm going to try my spot healing on this leaf. Let's see, is it going to work? Ah, yes, it did. Awesome. Sometimes that works and sometimes it won't. So that's one of the great things about editing, guys, is don't be afraid to play. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and screw up and redo it. And nobody's noticing, nobody's caring, unless you're editing for hundreds of thousands of people like me. But nobody's going to notice and you can always undo it, right? That's the magic undo button. Now, I'm going to remove a couple of these birthmarks because I know my friend and I know that she won't want them noticeable or visible. So I'm also going to take a little bit of time and smooth out. I just see a couple of veins on her bosom area. Now, if you've been pregnant before, you know that your boobs are not your own. They are growing and changing to make room for that baby. And a lot of women don't even recognize their body during pregnancy. So I do my best to make it beautiful and voluptuous, and I want my clients to feel like these goddesses that they are. So if I notice anything that's unsightly, like, veins on their legs or a blue vein or, discoloration on their chest, I will go ahead and I'll fix that for them. So, okay. Now, I am also going to fix this little dark spot on her thigh. She probably won't even notice it, but I notice it with my eyes. So I'm just going to blend that in and get rid of that. Okay. Let's see. A little bit more here. Okay, that works. All right, now we're going to do a little tiny bit of cleaning up on this wall. I just see some, strange little patches of paint or something on the wall. So I'm going to come in here and clean it up. And now I'm going to do a little bit of liquefying on her. Reason being, I don't love to liquefy my clients. I don't like to quote unquote Photoshop their bodies. I want them to understand that they are beautiful exactly how they are. I will go in and fix something if my posing is off, however, and she had such a tiny little bean of a bump here. I really wanted to accentuate her teeny tiny bump. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to adjust to the size of her belly. I'm going to make sure that my bloating tool is selected. And that's the only thing I will ever use that on is pregnant bellies. So I will come in here and just very carefully, very, very carefully select her belly and just make it a little bit more pronounced. And I could have shown that in my posing, right? Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use the line tool and the warp forward is what it's called. And I'm just going to make little nips and tucks here, just a little bit of adjustment so that her belly is a little bit more pronounced. Okay. And that's all I'm going to do there. So I'm going to close out of this, and then you can see it just made her belly a little bit bigger, a little bit more pronounced. All right, I think we are good, guys. I'm going to save this. I might just work a little bit on her hand here. Whenever I show the back of a woman's hand, I don't love to have a ton of texture and veins and things. I find that that's not very graceful, and a lot of women are really self-conscious about the backs of their hands. So I'm just going to paint and spot remove a little bit back here so it's nice and soft. All right, I am almost done with her hand. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some drama to this curtain. I am going to add a little bit of dust particles. I don't usually use those, but if I have a window light portrait and there's a window in the corner of my portraits, I like to add just a little touch. So I'm going to go here to place embedded. I'm going to select a bokeh dust particle overlay that I think will work well. A lot of these are super intense, so I don't tend to use them often, but they do work magic when you can. I'm going to choose this one, I think. I don't really love the purple. So I'm going to use this one. I am going to flip it horizontally so that it's coming from the right direction. I'm going to drag it over my window and I'm going to resize just a little bit so that it's realistic looking. Place it over my window. Make sure that I'm completely happy with it and switch it to screen. Now, this effect is super soft. You can't hardly see it, see? But it is just a little bit of magic to know that it's there. So I am going to place that over my window. I'm going to double click to place. And then I'm going to check around my edges to make sure that there's no harsh lines that I need to erase here. And now it looks good, so I'm going to flatten. Last thing I want to do is add my universal prep. Now, if you have been around for any amount of time, you know that my universal prep is an action I made that's just portraiture and a little bit of sharpening. That's a way that I stay faithful to my editing for my clients. They all get the same treatment as far as finishing goes. That also helps me develop brand faithfulness too. Okay, I'm going to save this, bring it back into Lightroom, and we are going to finish our last little tweak. I'm noticing that I'd like to change a little bit of the white balance here. I'd like to make it slightly more magenta. We'll see. Let's see. All right. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit carried away. I'm going to do my final little sharpen here with my Smart Sharpen. Oh, that looks much better. She's popping out just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to finish talking about faithfulness. So we've talked about how to do it in your brand. We've talked about how to do it in your dealings with your clients. I want to challenge you this week to find something that's difficult for you to stay faithful in doing, even if it's something as small as starting the dishwasher before you go to bed. And I want to see, if you keep it up for this whole week, how empowered you are. All right, so here is our adjustment. I am going to show you the before so that you can see the progress we've made. So there is, here we go, the after. And there's the before. Well, hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. That's the one we've been working on. And I want to get the white balance to match the before that I showed you in the beginning. Yes, I do edit all of these images twice for you. So I'm going to pull up the warmth a little bit, and I'm going to pull up the magenta just a little bit, and I'm going to increase the vibrancy, but we want to be careful. We don't want to get too orange on her skin here. So I'm going to come back down here, and I'm going to pull a little bit of orange out of the image because I don't want her to look at all anywhere near an Oompa Loompa. So I'm just going to make that little adjustment. Looking good. Okay, perfect. All right, I like to glance over everything, make sure it's good, and I think this is done and dusted. So here's the before, complete before, and there's the after. A nice way to add soft, simple light. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for taking your time with me, and I want to encourage you to subscribe. Don't forget, as always, you are loved, you are worthy, you are valuable, and the world needs your lens. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye.